Have you ever looked at your bank account, seen a pretty decent balance, and thought to yourself, you know what, I'm doing all right? Well, in today's explainer, we're going to unpack a highly counterintuitive premise. We're going to look at why that exact moment, the moment you look at your finances and feel genuinely comfortable, might actually be the precise moment your financial life starts going entirely backward. I know, it sounds completely crazy, right? But stick with me, because by the end of this, you'll see exactly why feeling rich is often a whole lot more dangerous than actually being poor.
I want you to think back to a recent financial win. Maybe you just snagged a promotion at work, or maybe you finally bought that brand new phone, upgraded your car, or, just started treating yourself to those nicer restaurants on the weekends. For the first time in a while, you actually felt rich. But as incredible as that feeling is, it's a trap, a massive trap. That warm, fuzzy feeling of financial security, it's actually a psychological trigger that can completely derail your ability to build real wealth.
To understand why this happens, we have to contrast these two totally different states of mind. When you're broke, the reality is crystal clear. You check your balance before you swipe your card. You think twice, maybe 3 times before ordering delivery. You are careful because, well, you absolutely have to be. The situation literally forces discipline on you. But the second you start feeling rich, everything shifts. You stop checking prices. You start rewarding yourself. You adopt this incredibly dangerous, I deserve this mindset. Basically, feeling rich completely removes the financial discipline that strict budgeting forces you to have.
To really see this in action, let's meet Arjun and talk about the trap of small upgrades. Arjun's story shows us exactly how financial stagnation almost never starts with one massive, catastrophic mistake. Actually, it sneaks in through the back door. So a few years ago, in year 1, Arjun was struggling. He earned just enough to survive, tracked every single rupee, and avoided anything unnecessary. Then, boom, year 2 hits and his income doubles. Suddenly, life breathes a little easier. He moves to a slightly nicer apartment. By year 3, he's ordering takeout a bit more often, maybe buys a shiny new phone. By year 4, all these upgrades, they're just his new normal. And here's the thing, none of these decisions are extreme. They are perfectly reasonable small upgrades. But repeated over time, his daily expenses have slowly, quietly outpaced his actual wealth building.
What happened to Arjun is what psychologists call a perception shift. When your environment improves, your brain adjusts incredibly quickly. What once felt like a total luxury suddenly feels perfectly normal. What used to feel way too expensive now feels, well, entirely reasonable. Your personal definition of the word affordable just keeps stretching and expanding. When you're struggling, you live below your means because you have no other choice. But when you feel rich, you start living exactly at your means, or worse, right above them.
And this brings us to the ultimate financial illusion. Let's look at 2 totally different scenarios. Consider person A. They earn 30,000 rupees a month, but they only spend 20,000. Then we have person B, pulling in a massive 1 lakh rupees a month, but spending 95,000 of it. So who's in a better position? Well, society would totally point to person B, right? They've got the higher income, the flashier lifestyle, but their true financial state? Person A is actually building wealth. Person B is just building pressure. Because at the end of the day, wealth isn't about how much you earn, it is entirely about how much you keep.
This is the exact trap person B fell headfirst into, lifestyle inflation. It's this wild financial phenomenon where your expenses rise perfectly in sync with your income. You never actually feel like you're overspending because every single upgrade feels totally justified. You work hard, so hey, you deserve the better phone or the comfier car. But collectively, all these justified decisions quietly eliminate your ability to actually build long-term wealth.
Think of it like this. Picture your income as a bucket, and your daily expenses as holes drilled into the bottom of that bucket. When you get a raise, your bucket gets bigger, which is awesome. But with lifestyle inflation, you are simultaneously drilling much larger holes into the bottom of that new bucket. A bigger bucket with bigger holes doesn't hold any more water. It just means you are leaking cash at a much faster rate than you were before.
Okay, so let's dig into the psychology behind the trap. Why do incredibly smart, hardworking people constantly fall for this? It all comes down to a psychological treadmill known as the social comparison loop. It goes like this. Step 1, you earn more money. Step 2, you feel rich, so your brain says, hey, you're safe now, and you upgrade your lifestyle. But here is the real kicker. At step 3, you don't measure your wealth in a vacuum. You measure it relative to the people around you. So you start comparing yourself to a brand new, wealthier peer group. Step 4, suddenly your shiny new lifestyle doesn't feel rich anymore. It just feels average. So what do you do in step 5? You upgrade and spend even more just to catch up. It is a never-ending cycle that keeps you permanently stressed and always feeling just a little bit behind.
This endless loop creates what we call the illusion of progress. From the outside looking in, you look like you're absolutely crushing it. Better clothes, better gadgets, amazing weekend trips. You look rich, but inside your actual finances, you might have no real savings, no investments, and absolutely zero financial security. You've essentially built a lifestyle that is 100% dependent on your continuous income, and that makes you incredibly fragile. If your income stops for even a second, the whole facade completely collapses.
There's a great quote that sums this up perfectly. Real wealth is quiet. It's visible in your freedom. Feeling rich is just a mindset. And honestly, it's often completely disconnected from actual wealth. Real wealth isn't visible in the brand of your phone or the luxury car sitting in your driveway. True wealth buys the freedom to say no. It buys the freedom to take risks and the freedom to survive an unexpected crisis without breaking a single drop of sweat. When you constantly chase the loud, flashy feeling of being rich, you sacrifice the quiet reality of actually becoming rich.
So what's the solution? How do we actually build wealth?
Now that we've totally exposed the trap, how do we get out of it without just, sitting in an empty room saving every single penny? Well, the first step is separating your income growth from your lifestyle growth. This right here is the ultimate circuit breaker for lifestyle inflation. When you start earning more, your immediate baseline priority must be upgrading your assets, not your everyday lifestyle. You literally have to decouple how much money you make from how much money you spend on comfort.
The crucial part is how you divide that new money. When your income bumps up, try thinking of it like a pie and cutting it into 3 distinct slices. The absolute largest slice should go straight into increasing your savings and investments. The medium slice, that goes toward a buffer for future security, your emergency fund. And yes, you absolutely still get a slice for a lifestyle upgrade, but it should be the smallest slice. This framework ensures that you get to enjoy the progress of your hard work today without systematically destroying your financial future tomorrow.
And that leads us to a wonderfully simple second rule: delay your upgrades. If you get a raise today, do absolutely nothing to your lifestyle for 3 to 6 months. Seriously, just wait. This mandatory waiting period works like magic. It completely strips away the initial emotional dopamine hit of having new money. It forces you to build financial awareness and to actually think logically about where those funds should go rather than just blindly reacting to the feeling of being flush with cash.
Because here's the hard truth. Comfort hides problems. The most dangerous place to be financially isn't actually being broke. When you're broke, you're alert, you're paying attention. The most dangerous place is being comfortable. Because comfort delays action. Comfort whispers in your ear that you're doing much better than you actually are, completely blinding you to the fact that you aren't actually building any real lasting security.
Ultimately, it all comes down to a choice between the temporary and the permanent. Chasing the feeling of being rich gives you temporary luxury, sure, but it also burdens you with increased commitments that keep you permanently trapped in the rat race. On the flip side, focusing on becoming financially independent yields permanent freedom. It builds real savings. It builds true quiet wealth.
So, the very next time you get a bump in pay, or the next time you glance at your bank account and feel that warm, cozy glow of being rich, don't celebrate too quickly. Take a breath, stop, and ask yourself this one absolutely critical question. Am I actually building wealth, or am I just upgrading my life? Because the difference between those two things, that's the difference between staying forever stuck on the treadmill and becoming truly, permanently free.